Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you're new, I am Teddy and welcome to the channel. This is a follow-up video from my previous look at the LG 45GX9 5K 2K monitor. I got a lot of questions and some misconceptions in the comments of the last video, so before we talk about what I did to replace the 45GX9, let me sum up why I returned it and provide some additional thoughts. First, I don't have a problem with display stream compression at all. In fact, I did state that most people wouldn't care if the 45GX9 only used the DisplayPort 1.4 standard. My main gripe was that in stating that the display used DisplayPort 2.1, the average consumer could be under the impression that this display would allow for a fully uncompressed image, and it's just not the case at all. In fact, it's recently come to light that the 45GX9 uses UHBR10, not UHBR 13.5 as I previously thought, which is much worse. This lends credence to my belief that the black screen issue wasn't completely Nvidia's driver. Both companies share the blame when products release with unnecessary preventable issues. Consumers should not have to bear the burden of troubleshooting Halo-tier products for billion-dollar corporations. If you were one of the people in the comments of that video defending LG or Nvidia, you need to do some serious thinking about your reasons for doing so. You have every right to love and enjoy the product that you purchased, but understand the reason reviewers like me take the time to make these videos should be for an unbiased look at the product. Had I chosen to not highlight the glaring issues that I had, would have been a disservice to those who stumbled across my video. I don't care about the workarounds to the black screens or Nvidia driver fixes. I care about relaying my true experience with the product. If a $2,000 monitor has any problem, it's a failure in my mind. And what a shame, because it really is a terrific display otherwise. But that's about all I have left to say about the 45GX9, and now let's have a look at what I did to replace it. What you're looking at is my main desk and work setup. The two displays that you see are, on top, the LG 27GX7, which is a 27 W-OLED QHD 480Hz G-Sync and FreeSync Premium Pro compatible gaming monitor, and on the bottom is the ASUS ROG Strix XG27UC DMG, which is a Best Buy exclusive and is a 27-inch 4K QD-OLED with G-Sync and FreeSync Premium Pro, and they are stacked using the Vivo dual vertically stacked monitor desk mount. So you might be asking yourself, why did I choose these two monitors in particular? So, instead of the aggressive curve, I now have a flat surface to work with and also to game on. The LG 27GX7 looks sharper, and the 480Hz mode is amazing to game on. It's a step up from the 2560 by 1080p 330Hz mode on the GX9, and both sharper and faster in motion clarity. The ASUS ROG XG27UC DMG is supremely sharp and color accurate. The QD-OLED color really pops, and the pixel density is crazy at 163 pixels per inch. Text is the clearest I've seen, and single-player games are absolutely sharp and vibrant when gaming. Editing works wonderfully, as I can have my player in the bottom in 4K, and my timeline and other elements on the top display, where image quality isn't as important. Other pros versus the GX9 is that I don't have to switch modes in order to change tasks. With this setup, I get higher frame rates and resolution on the GX7 when I'm gaming, QD-OLED color and higher PPI, and 240Hz on the lower monitor when I'm doing other tasks. So even though this setup works best for me, there are things that I'm giving up when I switched out from the GX9. So some of the things I'm giving up is definitely immersion. The 45GX9 was way more immersive with being 45 inches diagonally. That takes up almost your entire periphery, and it has a lot more, well, it doesn't have a lot more vertical space than I have now, but a lot more compared to traditional 16:9 monitors. And then other than just having all that screen real estate for your productivity and for gaming and running like picture by picture, I think the last thing you give up is convenience, and it's just having the convenience of everything being on one display. So being able to switch from your 4K mode to 330 Hz mode for gaming is a huge convenience factor, and I think that's the major thing you're giving up when you switch from this monitor to what I've got now. So let's talk about how I got these to be stacked the way that I have them. So what I'm using is the Vivo dual vertically stacked LCD monitor desk mount from Amazon. It's about $45. And as you can see, it's got some cable management clips and a pole, and it attaches to your desk in a couple different ways. But I have the VESA mounts attached to that pole, and then I have them kind of configured that suits my angles properly. And then I have them set up for the height that I need. And you can adjust these as much as you want. And now taking a closer look at that monitor that I have on top, that is the LG UltraGear 27-inch OLED QHD 480Hz, 0.03 milliseconds, NVIDIA G-Sync compatible, AMD FreeSync Premium Pro compatible gaming monitor. This is a W-OLED panel. It does have a anti-glare matte finish, but for what it is intended for, I think it works great. On top, you can see me playing some Marvel Rivals. The colors are pretty vibrant. The sharpness is good, and it worked right out of the box. I didn't have any problems with it. Didn't have any black screens. So kudos to LG on this one. This isn't going to be a full review of either of these monitors, but it's just going to be a quick breakdown, and so you guys can kind of see a little bit of the gameplay. Some of it's going to be kind of shaky because when I filmed this, I forgot that I had my subwoofer turned on, and anytime there's like a loud moment where there's bass, you can see the whole room shake. So I apologize for that, but I'm not going to have these on screen for very long. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of them, and so you can see them in use. And taking a look at the bottom monitor, we've got the ASUS XG27UC DMG, which is a Best Buy exclusive. So it's a 27-inch 4K QD-OLED gaming monitor with 240 Hz at 0.03 milliseconds response time, G-Sync compatible, FreeSync Premium Pro with HDR. Also has that really high PPI and pixel density, as you can see. And we're going to take a look at some HDR footage really quick. Of course, you're not going to be able to get the full picture of what it actually looks like, but this is just a representation so you guys can kind of have an idea of what you'd be looking at when you get this monitor. It's also 4th gen QD-OLED, so it has that going for it. It's got 90 watts of USB Type-C delivery, and it has been a very good experience for me so far. So we're going to take a look at some HDR footage and some gaming footage as well. Quickly, I wanted to show you guys the text clarity on this monitor. So this is the 4K monitor on bottom, and this is what it looks like. And it looks really great. No fringing whatsoever. So the next thing we're going to look at is 4K HDR gaming on the lower monitor. And since I used this game in the LG 45GX9 video, I figured I would showcase this game off in this video. And the reason I do that is because I think this game is just, for one, it looks really beautiful, and I think it's got really good HDR implementation. And so I'm going to zoom in on the screen a little bit closer so you guys can actually just see how truly sharp this picture can be. So when I zoom in closely and I focus, you guys can just literally see every single detail, like the smallest detail on this monitor because of that high PPI. And then the bright highlights of the HDR implementation. The QD-OLED colors just pop. It is a wonder. Now, like I said, it's not nearly as immersive as playing on that giant screen, but I think the trade-off is kind of balanced. It depends on what you're looking for. And for me, I really do prefer having that sharper image and then actually being able to get way more frames because they're not running as high of a resolution as on the 45GX9. So I actually can get really high resolutions on this game, like probably up to 170, 180 frames per second on this, which is just phenomenally smooth to play. Now I'm going to let this run a little bit so you guys can see this game, compare it to what it looked like on my other video if you'd like. But other than that, I'll just let this play out so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. And using these for productivity are quite viable. Now, again, you don't have the same amount of space as that massive 45-inch screen, but you do have an ample amount of space to do your work. And you can see I have my editing software in the bottom on my 4K monitor, and I have a couple tabs open for other things that I'm doing as I'm working. So again, it's a viable solution, and it is just a trade-off depending on what you want and how you want your displays to perform. And that'll about wrap it up. As I stated before, this wasn't a full monitor review for both of these monitors. I think I gave the pertinent information about them. If you want to check either of them out, you can check the link in the description. I'll post those. I got these from Best Buy. The total cost was about $21.65, so it was about maybe $100 less total, tax included, than that one monitor, the LG 45GX9. So this solution that I came up with was roughly the same price as that one monitor, and I think that I get a lot more out of it for my money. Hopefully I explained why I did this more concisely than I did in the rant video. If you've got any more questions about the LG 45GX9 or these two monitors or anything that I use in my videos, just let me know in the comments. I will try to answer as many as I can. If you like today's video and you got some value out of it and you think that you want to watch some more content that I produce in the future, don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. As always, this has been Teddy from Teedster, and I'll see you later. Teedster out.